Okay. All right. Hey, Brad. Hello. How are you?
Good, Shannon. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. So here we are in 2025. We haven't talked officially for a long time
Hmm.
of health topics that we used to,
Yep.
but let's get back into it today. We were both reading this article about bushwalking, and we were talking briefly about walking and the health benefits of it.
Yep.
And then we stumbled across this health article.
Yes.
Uh, what have we got here? It's a random controlled study with men, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Around 80 participants they went for. And I'll just to correct you quickly there, Shannon, it's now called forest bathing.
That's right.
We're showing our age if we start calling it bushwalking, um, which is really a bit of a joke I have with my patients a lot of the time too, because they're a bit more familiar with the old term bushworking.
Yeah,
But
and tree
yeah,
hugging.
yeah, yeah. So. Yeah, an incredible study, really.
Mm,
When you gave it to me, I wasn't too sure when it was set, and I actually mistook it to being 2021, and that's when the
hmm.
trial was approved, and it was just released in January this year.
This year, yeah.
And yeah, I looked at it. I thought, we've had these studies on forest bathing, outdoor exposure, red light exposure from natural sources and so forth. And with they had lots of positive results. But even I going through this study was surprised at, especially making a comparison, and especially how well they did it, how well they conducted the study overall,
Mm,
how beneficial it was to walk in nature versus an urban setting,
hmm.
and all the parameters they tested. So yeah, it looked very surprising, and very impressive.
Yeah. So let's ask the question. So for a patient, is there really a benefit for getting amongst the forest, going for a walk, spending time outside the urban area? And I guess we'll base the discussion on that. Is there
Yep,
really a benefit for you, the viewer, to get in the forest? Is it going to benefit your health?
yep,
And let's go through the study and look at what did it prove? What does the science say?
yep. And
So,
look,
yeah.
the answer to that is absolutely, a
Yes,
benefit.
yes,
So yeah, it was. Look, 84 participants isn't a big study,
yes,
but as they point out, they covered all their bases. They
yes.
did the randomization as best they possibly could. They
Mm,
took into consideration even things like the weather and all aspects of the environment, what the participants were having to notice during their walks.
hmm.
So really, very well done. Well, great
Mm,
study design. Would we like to see this conducted with more people, a bigger sample size?
yes.
Absolutely.
And different
Um,
genders as well. It was only
yeah, yeah,
men.
yeah, right. And
Yeah.
maybe you could test even more parameters with women too. So, but yeah, look, I think done very well, and
Mm,
yeah, and I think the sample size is enough to give us the results, or well,
yes.
the study gave us really positive results, really good p
Yeah. So
values.
when you say about getting good results, what do they actually test in the? Well,
Yeah,
I know, but I'm asking for the viewer.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what do
No,
they
look, well,
test?
let's
How do
be.
they gauge it with science?
Yeah, so secretory IgA was the primary outcome they were measuring. And
Mm,
for people at home who don't know what that is, many of my patients, and I'm sure your patients would be familiar with it because it's something that comes up a lot that we test for
mm.
in microbiome analysis, which
Or even
we
saliva, just for the
yeah,
sex hormones or stress hormones or sleep or
yeah,
yeah,
yep,
yeah. We'll
yep,
dive
yep. It
into
can be
that.
tested there too, and it's an immunoglobulin.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the first line of defense. It's your mucosal layer of the lungs, the gateway, the gatekeeper to the lungs, and the gut. And that's where we probably come across it more often is with
Mm,
gut health. And we
mm,
know that stress is a really huge contributing factor to the lowering of secretory IgA, because cortisol, the stress hormone, lowers it. So when I saw that was the primary outcome that's being tested, I thought, oh, great, yeah, let's see how that goes. And of course, the results showed that it was significantly higher
mm.
in the forest walking participants versus the urban. So yeah, great outcome. So
Yeah.
What
So
are your
can
thoughts
I
on that?
can I ask you, do you ever ask your patients to get out, or what's your experience with patients trying
Yes.
to go into the forest?
Yeah. Well, originally I was working out of Penrith with a clinic that I had set up there, and that was right near the Blue Mountains. So that
Mm,
was a really good place to advise people to go up and go for a walk. And without failure, the nod of the head from my patients and their agreements to, yeah, being outside and how much more they how better they much better they feel, is always significant.
mm,
And they kind of realized it before I even asked them, and eventually advised them on
mm.
doing it. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is something with our study 20, 25 years ago.
Mhm.
We're talking about the foundation of health and all of those traditional methods. What is naturopathy, really combining that holistic approach of food and lifestyle, etc. But as we go on and we're trying to search for that science, a lot of us have lost it and we're looking for a magic pill, or and consumers out there as well. They want something fixed, they want better sleep, etc. But this study really highlights the importance of just coming back to those real basic foundations, going for a walk. And I think intuitively we all know we feel better. We go camping, we go for a hike up the mountain. What is it? And it's this constant clash between science and holistic alternative woo woo.
Mhm.
And we can talk about p values or cortisol, but I think even the people watching this video, you intuitively know when you're in nature, you feel better.
Yep.
And
And yeah, and like many things, like, yeah, the cortisol levels were better with the forest group versus the urban group, which is the stress hormone. The immune inflammatory markers, CD4 and CD8, were better
mm,
with the forest group, and even the questionnaire outcomes were better with the forest group. So and the p-values, which for those at home who don't know what a p-value is, it means it's statistically significant if it's under 0.05. And in all outcomes, it was statistically significant. And yeah, like you said, how much does all that really matter, as opposed to, you know, getting out there and knowing for yourself that this is right. This is what we should be doing, And if you
mm,
want to take it to the next level, take off the shoes, get barefoot, and really get
mm,
out there. And beyond this study, I mean, there's all sorts of benefits, like for the microbiome, the bacterial exposure you're getting, whether it's through touch, if you and
mm,
dirt and soils and everything, and the plants themselves in those environments, or the air you're breathing,
mm,
whether it's the lack of pollution or the pollution filtration because of the greenery. The red light, we've got tons of
mm,
evidence behind that.
mm,
Now, I mean, people and this is the silly state we find ourselves in, that the sales of red light blankets and red light saunas and everything,
just get
it's never been
outside.
higher. So people are staying inside buying these things when all they need to do is get outside, be
Yeah.
exposed to greenery. And look, my young son, he wasn't well over the weekend, but I got him outside to the creek on the farm here, and it took us, he just didn't want to go out because he was irritable. He just wanted to lie on the couch, whatever. But if all of us that have kids, if you don't get them outside, there can be ramifications for that. So, and again, if you want to look at a good example of how things can work, especially in nature, get your kids out in nature, and they'll show you. And we got him
Mm,
out, and sure enough, he was loving it, watching the
mm,
water in the creek, and running those gum boots, playing with different sticks and making things. It's so therapeutic. And yet, as each year, each decade goes by, we're seeing, and I put myself in this category, more and more of us just getting stuck inside, stuck in these digital worlds that, just feeding digital disease on all
mm,
levels. And we're seeing mental health just being a big crisis at the moment, and that all these things are trending the wrong way, and
Mm.
yet you get a study as significant as this come up,
Hmm.
and it's as clear as day. It's done so well. They've
Yes.
catered to every parameter that they needed to make it a high quality study.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. So the study, yeah, touching on that, they talked about, well, really was comparing just to getting out in the urban area versus the forest. So what's the difference really? Well, this study highlights that. Is just going outside in the backyard, is it just walking down to the local shops? Is that enough healing in that to benefit you? And this study says not really.
Mm,
Urban environment is not enough. It has to be forest. It has to be really in nature with trees and bushland. But could you throw out some ideas? Why could that be? Could we be a devil's advocate and say, well, that's just the pollution. That's there's cars going around, there's smoke, there's
mhm.
chemicals, etc. Well, that's why they still had stress. Have you got anything to add to that? Is there really a
Yeah,
benefit?
yeah. I think mentioning before, we have had a lot of research on red light,
Mm,
and the study did highlight the possible pollution facet of this all this the difference between the two groups, and um, yeah, when you talk about environments increasing stress, um, yeah, you could say, well, yeah, maybe it
put you on the
is
spot a
just
little bit there.
no. Maybe it is just the elevation and stress, because that would explain the secretory IgA as well. But then there's the inflammatory markers within the immune system too. They did talk about the urban environments, different aspects of the urban environment, maybe increasing those as well.
Mm,
But I think the significant difference between the two groups, there has to be more. There has to be more. And we're not just seeing the main outcome or one or two of the secondary outcomes improving. With all outcomes were significantly better with the forest
mm,
group
mm,
than the urban group, and
mm,
including the questionnaires too. So
mm, mm.
the variation is way too much in my estimation to
Hmm.
suggest that there's something else other than the fact that
Mm.
the forest is
Yeah,
got
it's going to
a
be
plethora of benefits.
yeah, and it's going to be really exciting to see more and more studies on this, and it brings it right back to what we do, holistic practitioners, naturopathic practitioners, combining all of those modalities and just giving you the real best healthy outcome. Back to basics, sunlight, walking in nature, great food, and the evidence will just start to trickle in and support. I mean, there's evidence out there with organic food and pesticides and heavy metals, and now there's another one with forest walking and tree hugging,
Yep.
and it's really exciting to see. But for the people watching this, there's never been a better time to really get out there in the forest and start healing.
Mm. And I was listening to something just recently, and there was talk about I think AI coming in and taking jobs, and what jobs are going to be secure in the future. And one of the things that came up was tour guides in nature and so forth, because there's going to actually be a demand for it,
Yes.
because of this situation, how we're all indoors, and we're going the wrong way about this. We're really craving the outdoors and craving nature, and what it provides us. So yeah,
Yes.
I think you know yes, you don't need a study to sort of realize that, but maybe these sort of studies highlight the significance so much that yeah, it makes people think maybe I need to put some sort of strategy in place to make sure I at least get outside once or twice a week. And that can often be the case with some of my patients, especially in the colder months.
Hmm.
And often you can find yourself just working flat out, busy days, and a couple of weeks go by, and have you even worked up a sweat? Have you seen the
Mm-mm.
sunshine? you know,
Yes.
and the answers can quite often be no. So I think especially in those winter months, you really need to have some sort of strategy in place to make sure that you can get outside, can get some exposure.
Yes.
And but this is where things like pets are great. People that get outdoors and have to walk their dog twice a day or something like that.
That's true.
You can see the positive impact of that alone. So
Yeah. So take home message from this video is schedule it in and make sure you do some
yes,
forest walking and keep combining. And please, Brad and I have such a strong passion for you to get better and really immerse yourself in nature and herbs and nutrition and diet. So if you want to learn more, definitely like and subscribe to this video or this podcast, and we'll keep on releasing studies and information and helpful tips for you to really get better naturally. Is there anything else you want to add, Brad?
no, look, it's a great study, and yeah, looking forward to doing more with you.
Yeah, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.